And the 5's going to chase him in, to your point, Jeff. He cannot allow the 12 to get a lap. Look at the 5 gain to the rear bumper.
The 5 into the water. The barrier's right at the end of pit road. He slides into him, damage to the right front.
That's going to bring the yellow out. They're going to have to throw the caution to be able to repair those barriers.
What, sand in him, you see this.
Look how much he's gaining on him, and he has no choice but to turn right or run into the back of Blaney. He turns right and gets the end of the pit wall. Just way too much speed here.
And heavy damage with these barrels.
Kyle Larson has one of, if not the worst pit entry I've ever seen at Homestead Miami Speedway. Kyle Larson was trying to chase down Ryan Blaney for the race lead in the playoff race in 2023. Ultimately, he overshot the pit entry, and as he tried to slam on the brakes, he slid his front tires into the sand barrels on the entrance of pit road, damaging his race car, ultimately ending his day and causing a massive cleanup for NASCAR. The worst pit stop for a championship driver we've ever seen. Denny Hamlin was en route to win his first ever championship in 2019. In one of the late race pit stops, his crew chief told Denny Hamlin they were going to put a giant piece of tape on the front grille. What that does is that'll give you some extra downforce and help your car turn better. The problem with that is it'll also overheat your engine if you put too much tape, and that's exactly what Denny Hamlin and his pit crew did during the 2019 Homestead race.
They put a massive piece of tape on the grill. Last time down, Steve, it's getting cooler. You can see all that tape they put on the left side. Denny said the water temps are now pegged, the oil at 345, and he said we're not going to make it. We're not going to make, the engine's not going to make it to the end of the race if we're doing this pace.
So here's the crew member right here putting it on. Man, that is that's half the grill they've covered right there.
Why didn't he come to pit road now, though, Steve? Why is he going to stay out?
Denny said, we're not going to make it. They're coming to pit road, guys. Denny Hamlin's championships may be over. He told Chris Gabehart, I'm not coming down pit road. You make that call. Tell me if I need to come down. Just so crushing for Denny Hamlin, this 11 team, the slow roll down pit road, and it's just spewing water everywhere. They're going to get the tape off of it at this point. Just going to salvage what they can salvage here. Ford Goodyear tires, but man, look at all that water it's losing, Steve. I don't know how long that thing could last when he's going to go back out on the racetrack.
He needs to get back out there, get the temperature down. You saw the tape pulled off. Once again, that tape was put on the last pit stop. It was a calculated change that was put on in error. They definitely don't want to cover that much of the grill. We talked about how big.
Got a drag race at the top of the hill. Whoa, man, McMurray's in trouble. Seen that happen so many times.
The blue flag waving means there is a car off course. Now there are two. Bobby Labonte is around.
Happens almost every time we come here, that little chain reaction. I think he's going to get back. Kurt Busch, uh-oh, got another car around over here coming through turn 8. Oh, no.
Hard lick.
Kenny
Sterling Marlin in the 14 car, and they're still stacking up. Casey Mears.
One car, T-bone Schrader extremely hard.
Oh, it was an incredible lick.
That's Tom Hubert in the 27 car.
Tom Hubert nailed Kenny Schrader.
Turn 9.
Yeah, the 21 car gets sideways. I don't know if he got help or not. We'll see here momentarily. I don't think he did. Carl Edwards didn't touch him. Kenny just spun the car, got up on the curb. But, man, when he comes back out in the racetrack, the melee breaks loose.
And you can see Dave Blaney getting in the back. And look at Jamie McMurray, the guy that sat on the outside pole because of what happened up there in turn 2. He was almost involved in it.
This has to be one of, if not the most idiotic start in NASCAR history. To have the race leader drive off the track and spin himself out, to the mid-pack car spin out as they go past him, and then as they're showing the replay for Jamie McMurray who spun out, there was a massive crash on the back part of Sonoma involving multiple cars, bringing out a red flag on the very first lap. Unbelievable. In his quest to win his 7th NASCAR Cup Series championship, it looked to be the day for Jimmie Johnson to kick off an early playoff win and punch his ticket to the round of 12. It was at Dover Motor Speedway where he was kicking butt that day and leading all the laps. But ultimately, his pit crew had a mistake on pit road, hindering his chances at winning the race.
Championship caliber team cannot continue to make these mistakes and think that they are going to win a championship.
That's why we have been critical of this team. They've certainly found their speed, but they don't execute like a Chad Knaus, Jimmie Johnson team, they continue to make these mistakes.
Over the wall too soon. It's kind of hard for me to see. Let's see if NASCAR will be kind enough to send it to us.
He is clearly touching the pit box. You're not allowed to be in the pit box before the 48 gets to that red line that's superimposed. There's also a little white dash that the crew members could use. That is there for safety. They don't want the crew members in the pit box before the cars get there, because say a car gets spun out. We see that all the time. If the crew members were able to just climb over and kneel and wait, they would be defenseless to a spinning race car.
Pulling a Mark Martin. It's what you never want to do as a race car driver. It's probably the most embarrassing thing to do. Well, Cale Yarborough and Mike Bliss both did it. Cale Yarborough thought the race was over, and so did Mike Bliss. In two separate races, they both brought it down pit road thinking the race was over. But unfortunately for them, it was not. Both drivers had to have an interview and explain what happened, and I bet it was embarrassing for both of them.
All likelihood there will be no more racing, so Petty will come by now with 1 lap to go, and behind Petty, Cale Yarborough is turning off and heading toward pit road. Hard to imagine what is going through Cale's mind. He can sacrifice second place if he makes a pit stop here, but Petty has the lead with 1 lap to go.
Then I misread the flagman's fingers, and when we came down for the caution flag there, I thought the race was over. And I guess my brain blew up is what happened. It was just a dumb thing for me to do, and I came in, which lost some more positions.
First off, let's talk about the finish of the race coming down pit road.
Well, you know, they wrecked. The spotter said, man, they're wrecking all over the front straightaway, and this is getting into 3. You're coming to the yellow, so we checked up, of course, and I pulled down pit road. I figured the racetrack was just scattered, and I pulled down pit road, and I kind of hesitated a little bit, and I came in, and one of the officials pointed to me to pull down here to the pit box, so I pulled the pit box, and then they said, you need to get by the start-finish line. So I don't know, you know. I look like a dumb guy for what happened, but I should have stayed on the racetrack, you know. Should have stayed on the track.
42 got a little out of the groove there. Clear by 2 in the 48, 1 out of the 42. Stay low.
I think he was behind that car and he couldn't see, and I think when he went to the inside, he clipped the, I think that it clipped the grass.
NASCAR's most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr., makes a dive bomb move to the inside at Texas Motor Speedway, clipping the grass, damaging his front of his race car, sending him hard into the wall and catching on fire. This is probably one of Dale Jr.'s most vicious crashes in his career, but it was also one of the most idiotic ones. He hit the grass after it rained, and that in itself is like hitting a wall at 190 miles an hour that's about 1 inch tall. It damaged the front of his race car so bad it was undrivable as he drove head-on into the wall at Texas in 2014.
Uh-oh, there goes Tony. Oh my goodness.
Crash in turn 4.
Man,
and there in the midst of it sits Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch, the 2 leaders.
I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe Tony got a little loose all at once.
Kurt Busch, the 2 will go straight to the garage, Jerry.
I'm worried about you. I ain't worried about that car.
That was Greg Zipadelli, Stewart's crew chief. And the strongest Chevy and the strongest Dodge in Daytona are wrecked.
Let's watch it. I don't know if Kurt got into the back of Tony or not. Let's wait till we get around here and see. Tony's car just, Tony hit the apron. He got down on the apron. He got a little bit loose. Kurt was all over the back of him, and there he goes.
Tony's dropped the window net on his car. That's a signal to safety workers that he is okay.
The 2 dominant race cars in the 2007 Daytona 500 crashed out with only 48 laps to go. Kurt Busch and Tony Stewart were the dominant cars at Daytona. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They were leading laps, winning a dual race, winning the shootout. They were on top of the world, and neither one of them had ever won a Daytona 500. Ultimately, what happened when Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch entered turn 3 and 4, Stewart got loose in the bottom of the racetrack, chased it up the track as Kurt Busch got underneath him, wrecking them both into the wall, ending both their days immediately, leaving a heartbreaking finish for both of them.
Trying to take away that top spot.
Junior, I think that not.
Contact! They both hit! Bell slams into the Briscoe, and now Bell across the grass. The 98 was sliding.
How How much damage? Look at all the damage on that 20.
Kyle Busch closing in.
Watch out for the third place car, Kyle Busch. He's looking.
Hamlin edges ahead. They touch! They touch, and here comes Kyle! Hamlin, Logano on the wall. Hamlin spins down the racetrack, and Kyle Busch wins in California.
I thought they'd be nice to each other. They weren't.